Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. We have a lot to get into tonight. We're going to talk about Jason Robertson, who is headed to restricted status and arbitration. The Penguins tried, didn't get him. Also, Flo Balogun. Team USA is going to play tomorrow night against Belgium. But the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be the 46-45 Pittsburgh Pirates. And here to talk about it is your panel tonight. We have Robby Incmikoski from Sacred Grounds, the author, former Pirates beat reporter there. We have Will Graves to the right of him or left of him, however you perceive this.
Shout out Wanda Keene.
Does Wanda like your beard?
I guess I'll get a text tomorrow finding out.
We're going to find out. And of course, across from me is Ray Fittipaldo, who does great work with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. All right, so Will, let's start with this one. Paul Skenes is an all-star. I think by his own admission, he probably wonders why, although, of course, his reputation precedes him. But no one else on a team that has one of the best offenses in baseball and a pitcher like Braxton Ashcraft, no one else got in. All snubs?
I think you could certainly make a case for Lowe. Look, let's get a couple things clear here. The players vote for the reserves. Okay, the fans didn't put Paul Skenes in. The players and Major League Baseball work together to fill out the rest of the roster. The managers, the coaches aren't even a part of this equation anymore. So it's not Paul Skenes' fault that Paul Skenes is an all-star. It sort of speaks to the respect that he's gained throughout the league, that he's sort of achieved this status, that he's getting in on what is a down year for Paul Skenes, but not a down year for a competent, solid Major League pitcher. But now look, Ozzie Albies is the starter for the National League. At second base, their numbers are very comparable. But look, the Pirates are having a good year for the Pirates, but let's remember, in relation to the rest of the league, they're sort of at the bottom of that big pack of teams in the middle of the wild card stuff, and the Brewers, the Phillies, the Dodgers have sort of run away with this thing, and a lot of star power. The game is in Philly this year. I just think everybody has to have at least one rep. I think it's more of a numbers game, and I would imagine, Pop, that we're going to get to a point here in a little bit where Skenes, who's pitching next Sunday against the Braves, is going to say, you know what, I'm out, and I'm going to let Braxton Ashcraft takes his place. That's my guess.
Yeah, I bet that happens as well. Ray, let's talk about that. I look at a team that has one of the best, if you can argue it's one of the best offenses in all of baseball, and no one from that offense gets in. I think there's something wrong with that.
I would agree. Listen, Lowe is on pace for over 100 RBIs. He's having one of the best seasons in recent memory for a Pirate second baseman. So I think he's deserving. And, to Will's point, there are going to be injuries, Bob. Other players are going to pull out. There's going to be spots for reserve. So I think Lowe does have a chance to get in. And, as far as Ashcraft goes, I think he's been the Pirates' best pitcher probably since May 1st. He's come on really in the last 2 months or so, and I think I think Will is right. Ashcraft is going to find a way in, and I think it'd be a great story given his comeback if he does get a chance to pitch in the All-Star game.
Robby?
Well, both these guys make great points here, Bob. Paul Skenes, even though he struggled a little bit as of late, but I think he's just showing more that he's human, a mere mortal. Just like the rest of the starting pitchers right now, Major League Baseball. So right now, I wouldn't call him the best pitcher in the world, but I still think he's an all-star. He's still, just a little bit north of 3. I have to look at what his ERA is.
3.6 something.
Is that 3.6? Yeah. So still, but he's taken a hit now the last couple, the last couple starts for sure. And he was off to, a really good start. Obviously, gave up the 4 on opening day, but nonetheless, Paul Skenes deserves to be an all-star. But one thing I took a look at here is a lot of people evaluate the game of baseball and they evaluate players by using WAR, wins above replacement. Skenes is at a 2.7. Ashcraft is actually a tenth of a WAR fraction higher at 2.8. So if you're looking at those kind of metrics, it seems like Braxton Ashcraft, if Paul Skenes is an all-star, he should be as well. So let's hope that's the scenario for them. But nonetheless, we talked about this on the Nightly Sports Call, Bob. Something does not appear to be right with Paul Skenes. We have no idea what it is, nor will we speculate. But this is certainly an outlier of a season thus far for the Pirates ace.
It's actually 24 pitchers have better WAR than Paul Skenes, but his reputation, as I said, precedes him. All right, so Robby brought that up. Well, what is wrong with Paul Skenes? Again, we don't have any definitive information, just that his velocity is down, his spin rate on fastballs is down consistently. What do you think it is?
It's a good call. Our Ray's compatriot, Noah Hiles, did a pretty good deep dive in the Post-Gazette in the last couple of days looking into the metrics. I mean, my thing is, I look at it like this: every pitcher, every Hall of Fame pitcher, and I'm not saying Paul's a Hall of Fame pitcher, but he's certainly one of the best in the world at this moment, and has been since he made his debut. They go through periods where they're not great. Okay, some of that is the league adjusting to him. The thing I noticed with Paul is he's not been very efficient the last couple months. A lot more foul balls. He's not powering it by guys. I mean, people are talking about what's happening to his velocity. I mean, to be honest with you, his velocity has been, when he was taking no-hitters into the 6th, 7th inning in April and May, his velocity was in about the same range. Might be down like a mile an hour since then. So it's not that. I think it's just it's not as crisp. And look, I mean, this guy, I'm around this guy. This dude is different. He's working. I would say there's nobody that's more concerned about the way that Paul Skenes is pitching than Paul Skenes. And to be honest with you, he's earned the right to sort of go through this without people killing him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I think we're going to find out, though, coming up in the second half of the season what happens. They need him to be dominant, I think, and hopefully he can get back to that. We mentioned Brandon Lowe. Ray, I want to ask you something, because he is a free agent at the end of this year. He's having a tremendous season to be on the last year of a contract. 21 home runs, 63 runs batted in. Any chance the Pirates can sign him? And I say that knowing that he's going to want one final big contract. It most likely will be 4 years. Pirates may offer 2 or whatever. What do you think it would take yearly salary to keep him here?
Man, I mean, he is going to command some big money given the season he's had. In terms of numbers, Bob, I think you're looking at probably north of, 30, 35 million to get him under contract for next season and in the seasons beyond. The Pirates have not gone to, 4 years in those situations, but if they're going to do it, I think Lowe would be the guy to maybe bet on. He's come in here, he's been a pro, and he's had a great season. I know you're looking off into the mid-30s down the road, but he's one guy I would take a gamble on.
Bob, just to tail on what Ray just said, when you're talking about Brandon Lowe and what he's done this season, how many times have we seen Pirates players go elsewhere and have good years? Well, it's about time a guy comes to the Pirates and has a career year, and we're seeing that with Brandon Lowe right now. As for the money, I think we got to see how the economics shake out. I mean, what's the next CBA going to look like? I don't know that I would reach an extension with him before we see what the next CBA looks like, and especially a team like the Pirates, where they have to be smart and they have to hit on each free agent signing that they have. So, look, should the guy be a long-term Pirate? Absolutely. It feels like they found a guy finally who comes in and performs well and kind of takes the bull by the horns a little bit offensively for this team. So hopefully they're able to do it, but I would be a little bit cautious, given that it's not a full season of production yet. Did have a little bit of a slump, but again, the numbers are the numbers, and they're bearing out really well on his side. So hopefully they can keep him long term. But I'd still be just a little bit cautious before I started throwing $30 million.
I mean, Pomp, just to jump in here real quick. I mean, who's having a pretty good year and also plays second base, although he's not hitting 21 homers?
Lamar Johnson.
Nick Gonzalez is playing pretty. Yeah. What, 3 hits again today? I mean, look, he's not the power guy. Okay, but when you look at the money that it's going to cost to keep Lowe, is the gap between him and Nick Gonzalez worth whatever you're going to pay there, $20, $25 million? I mean, Nick's going to be he's still, 2 or 3 years away from being close to being due any sort of money in arbitration. Given that Brandon Lowe has been a pro, he's been good for that clubhouse. He set a great example for some of those young kids, but he's going to want big money. And look, if the economic system looks like it looks now, when we get out of whatever the new CBA looks like, in my opinion, the Pirates are probably more likely to save the money that they would spend on Lowe, put Nick G at second base, and spend the money hopefully elsewhere on the roster.
Yeah, one thing about Nicky G, he cannot hit the home runs. He doesn't have the power that Lowe can turn into, because he's a 31 home run guy, almost hit 41 year. He's on pace for that again. When we come back, we're going to talk about trade deadline. It'll be coming up as well. What did the Pirates do? Should they make a big time deal? And if so, what would that look like? It's next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, welcome back. We're talking about the Pirates at the All-Star break, but also the trading deadline. It'll be coming up in August. Robby, I want to start with you. And what do the Pirates have to do? What should they do?
Well, I mean, first of all, wait. And I'm not being sarcastic when I say that, Bob. I just think you got to see where they are at this point in time. They're in such a big mix. By the way, huge series win against the Washington Nationals. The head-to-head is going to be the first tiebreaker, and they just went over them or tied them, I believe, in that spot. It's going to fluctuate a million times between now and the trade deadline and now in playoff time, Bob. But I think you wait a little bit and you have to make a move. You make it. You built for this era of Pirates baseball, meaning like Paul Skenes, Connor Griffin, O'Neill Cruz, Prime Brian Reynolds. Brandon Lowe having a good year. This is their chance to make a run. I hope they beef up the roster.
Well, what do you say?
Well, I mean, obviously the bullpen needs all the help it can get, right? But it's just sort of what do you do? What do you give up to go get that help? And that's sort of the thing. I mean, look, what do you have what's a tradable asset on offense right now? I mean, Marcell Ozuna, not a tradable asset, right? I mean,
No.
maybe they decide, maybe they've already decided internally that Brandon Lowe's their guy, and they find somebody, goes in on Nick Gonzalez. I don't think that's going to happen. They need bullpen help. The question is, how much are they willing to pay to get it? Do they think that if this team gets in the playoffs, can it be dangerous? And the question is, I mean, I think the jury's still out. We're 90 games in and we still don't know.
So, Ray, I'm going to throw a question. This is interesting, and it's not going to happen. I'll preface this by saying it's not going to happen. But someone brought it up on the sports call the other night. I found it interesting to talk about what these guys just did, which is this is the time to strike. If this trade were offered, Seth Hernandez, who is the number one prospect for the Pirates, a 19-year-old pitcher who's blowing people away, straight up for Mason Miller, who's the best closer in the game from San Diego. I don't think it'll ever happen, but just say it was offered. Would you take that?
Not in a million years. I mean, Hernandez has been the real deal since he's come into the Pirates organization. Mason Miller has had a great 2 or 3 year run, but there is no way I'm trading a future starting pitcher in your rotation for a chance to get the best closer in the game. I'm going to wait. I'm going to see how it plays out. But the point is, Bob, if they just had an average bullpen, they would be comfortably in playoff position. Bullpen is the way you got to go. It's just a matter of, do the Pirates and Bob Nutting ownership, do they want to overpay to get that reliever in here that's going to help you?
You know, the one thing I would add to that, Ray, would be look at the Pirates' history the last maybe, 15 years of developing and bringing in closers, starting back to Joel Hanrahan, Mark Melancon, Tony Watson, Jason Grilli, Vasquez, Bednar. Santana had a good year last year. Would you rather have, what if Seth Hernandez becomes, say, Braxton Ashcraft? Wouldn't you rather have that than a closer when you have a track record of putting closers in good positions?
I'm just saying for this year, though, Robbie, because you said this is the time to strike with all those people. If you're going to do it this year, again, I don't think it'll happen because both sides probably would say no to that.
You know who'd be pretty good out of the bullpen right now? Jared Jones. I'd rather
not
have
wrong.
You're not wrong. Like, I mean, when they made that move, when he came back from the surgery, I was like, are we sure? Carmen's Mlodzinski had been pitching the best pitching of his career the 2 months leading up to that. Since Jared, to his credit, has said I've not been good enough. Mlodzinski's been okay. I know he got roughed up, once this week, but I mean, like, that guy was in a groove, and look, Jared Jones doesn't want to hear this, but he's got closer stuff.
He does.
Okay, and maybe if his ERA stays north of 5 for another month, maybe we need to have that conversation.
He comes out with a bazooka, Bob. Jared Jones, knowing he's only going to get 3 outs. Guy might be throwing 110.
Someone may say Mlodzinski would be the closer. You know, if no one else. Now, Santana's gotten it together lately, so hopefully that'll continue. But, I mean, there are arms out there who can make a difference. If not, they're going to have to make a deal. We'll see what that is coming up in August. When we come back, we're going to talk some hockey. Jason Robertson, a lot of speculation about where he's going. Right now, it looks like back to Dallas. Should the Penguins have signed him to an offer sheet prior to this? We'll get into that and more as we continue right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, 15 hockey players chose arbitration. One of them was Jason Robertson. Penguins brought in Nick Robertson. I thought, Will Graves, sort of like what the Steelers did with Derek Watt trying to sign TJ Watt. It didn't work, but there was speculation they may sign him, or if the trade didn't work, maybe sign. If you sign a restricted free agent, you have to give up 4 #1 picks, like Philadelphia did with Leo Carlsson, $18 million a year for a 21-year-old. Should the Penguins have gone that route?
I mean, look, no. That's a little. I mean, it's funny. You bring up the kid from the Carlson, and it was sort of like when I saw that the other day come out there, I'm like, really? Like, I guess apologies. Didn't know this guy was that good. Seems like an overpay. The idea that you would pay somebody let's say 2 to 3 times as much as you're paying Sidney Crosby, even at this stage in Sid's career, is sort of odd. That being said, look, if he signs a deal with the Stars, and look, their cap space is. They're not going to have much after this. Like, maybe there's a way that they could finagle something from a personnel standpoint in a trade. But the Stars are also built to win now. The Pens are built to win, if they win now, that's great, but they're still eyeing 2-3 years down the road. But also, what's the point of having all that draft capital if you're not going to spend it? So, I mean, I would be open to it, but I just would be surprised if it happened.
Is Leo Carlsson in the top 15 players?
He's a really good player.
I know he's really good. And this is not a knock on Leo Carlsson. 4 first-round picks, the highest-paid player in the history of the NHL. Leo Carlsson? Is this real life?
Well, it wasn't with Kirill Kaprizov either, but he got $17 million a year. Same kind of situation. They struck there. I don't even think it matters where you fit anymore. If you are projected to be a star, and he is, they're going to pay for the stardom.
In a league with Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, the list, Austin Matthews, the list goes on and on and on and on of great players, generational players. Now, Alex Ovechkin is, coming back for one more year. Sidney Crosby is obviously on the very back nine of his career right now too, but he's still producing at such a high level. I just am blown away that Leo Carlsson is the guy that's going to be the highest paid player in NHL history. I'm not taking anything away from him. He might be 50-goal scorer over the next 5 years. God bless him if he is. But I don't know that I would do that, Bob.
Ray, it's a great day to be Leo Carlsson because no matter what happens, he's going to make $18 million a year, whether it's in Philadelphia
Absolutely.
or Anaheim. Should the Penguins have taken that route? Now, again, it's 4 first-round picks in order to sign the guy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Bob, my job is I cover the Steelers, and we've had this conversation for 3-4 years now. When are you going to turn the page from your veterans and actually get younger? And I think the Penguins, under Kyle Dubas, have started to do that a little bit. But if you go down this road and then you mortgage your future by giving away 4 first-round picks, what are you doing in 2 to 3 years when Malkin, Letang, and Crosby are all gone, and Robertson is your only star on that team? So that's something they have to weigh. I know they've been in on him. They're really thinking seriously about it, or they were thinking seriously about it. But 4 first-round picks seems like an awfully steep price for me.
Yeah, bottom line is, though, that's what if you're going to play business, that's what the Penguins, though, will, and we have about a minute in this one, just real quick, to use Kyle Dubas's terminology, we're going to build this brick by brick, which, indirectly says we're just going to take our time, use our draft picks, sign guys we, double down on, a guy like Chinikov today who gets $6 million a year. Is that the right strategy?
Look, I think he's sort of, what he's done, what they did last season has sort of given him some, there's proof a little bit that the guy knows what he's doing, right? So I'm fine with them not going out and spending a ton of money because they have cap space, right? They could go out and make a big splash, but instead they seem to be, Kyle's thing always says, I'm not trying to win for 1 year. I want to be a consistent contender. And I think the way you do that is you get young players, you keep them, and then you fill in the spaces in between. And Chinikov is one of those guys, right? Like, you took a flyer on him, looked like sort of a curious kind of nothing move in December, and the guy turned out to be one of the best players on the team. And now they've got him locked. He's young, and they've got him locked up at a reasonable cost for the next 3 years.
He certainly does, and we'll see what happens. They're going to have a lot of guys back from last year, although 2 I thought they were going to keep was Wotherspoon and Shea. Both have signed. Wotherspoon was traded, but Shea signs a 4-year, $20 million deal. When we come back, we're going to talk about the big news of the day. That's Team USA. They're playing tomorrow against Belgium, and guess who's back? We'll talk about it next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Hey, with America turning 250, #1 Cochran is pulling out all the stops during their red, white, and new event. Get up to $1,000 in extra savings on tagged vehicles. Plus, find leases from $129 a month, pre-owned payments starting at $99 a month, and financing as low as 0% from 8 different brands. Don't miss the red, white, and new event now at all #1 Cochran locations and Cochran.com. Flo Balogun, who was given a red card, which accompanies a suspension, was going to miss the game against Belgium tomorrow. It's a big one for Team USA. Ray, today FIFA rescinded that. President Trump got involved, and somehow it went the other way. People in Belgium don't like it. They think it's wrong. First of all, do you think he deserved a red card to begin with?
Well, I don't think he deserved a red card, so I think it's justice in that sense, Bob. But in the end, any future close calls for Team USA in this tournament, for or against, something that could go one way or the other, they might not get the benefit of the doubt. I mean, there is a human element to these games. There are officials involved in these games, and who knows? Maybe an official from another country didn't like that the USA got special treatment in this case. But I think in the end, if you go back and look at that play, I don't think he should have received a red card. So in that way, I think it's good. But I think Team USA is up against it now when it comes to getting any more close calls in this tournament.
I mean, I think the optics aren't good, right? I mean, you give the president of the host nation a peace prize, right? And then a few months later, he's like, hey, can you do me a solid here and let my boy off the hook? Let me be very clear here. there didn't seem to be any intent on that play that it was red card worthy. But if you've watched the tournament as much as I have, the officiating here makes the NFL look like the best officiated league in the history of sports, right? I mean, if you watch the France-Paraguay match yesterday, like well, what Paraguay did, gooning it up, was bad, but the officiating was also bad because somehow France was the only team that ended up with any yellow cards in that match. I think in the end, they got it right, but the precedent it sets, they did something for Ronaldo like this a few years ago, and I think before that, the last time they'd done that was 1962. Mm-hmm. So again, the optics aren't great.
Well, I mean, think about this whole situation, right? When you look at the replay, he clearly did not mean to step on the guy's ankle, so obviously it should not have been a red card, no doubt about that. Then you get the President of the United States involved in the host nation of the World Cup, and you look at the history of FIFA and all this corruption that has or hasn't happened. I'm not the biggest soccer fan. I'm not going to pretend I know everything about soccer, or even know a little bit about soccer outside of what I watch, which is a pretty good amount as well, and I'm into it. But this whole thing is crazy, Bob. And we are absolutely, positively going to see retaliation. Like, why is the President of the United States getting involved in a sporting match? Like, I don't understand that. And it shouldn't have been a red card to begin with. He clearly didn't mean to do it. I don't understand. I'm at a loss for all this, Bob.
We'll find out if it makes a difference, because Belgium's a pretty good team, but they're going to be certainly inspired tomorrow in that match. All right, we're going to take a break, come back with more. It's the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown each and every Sunday night right here on KDKA-TV. All right, that's going to do it. Thanks to Ray Fittipaldo, Will Graves, Robby Incmikoski. I'm Bob Pompeani, and thank you for joining us. We'll do it again next Sunday night. Another edition of the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Wanda, I hope you like the beard.